Welcome to A Taste of AZ podcast, where we interview everyone from James Beard award-winning chefs to local mixologists, winemakers, breweries, and so much more. We've got an awesome episode lined up for you today. But before we get into that, head to atasteofaz.com so you can subscribe to our quarterly magazine and email newsletter to find all of the best places to eat and drink around town. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Now let's get into the episode.
Thanks for having us in, Teddy.
Yeah.
This place is incredible.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we got to reserve this. You set this aside just for us. We bought out the whole place.
First time on a private flight, or?
yeah, dude, this is awesome. So I know we did the podcast back in, this was a year or two ago now with Wren Wolf, and you guys are in the process of building this, and I got to see the empty space, but dude, this is unreal. So where are we, and who are you?
Yeah, well, this is Carry On, and I am Teddy Myers, the founder of Pretty Decent Concepts. We have 7 concepts currently open in Phoenix, and then we'll have 12 by the first quarter of 2026, so 5 more under construction right now.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. We're scaling pretty rapidly. But all of this, we've been working on for a very long time. They've been in the works for multiple years, just like Carry On. So when we met, this was a 2-year project to get open. Okay. And it started with a silly idea between partners. One of my partners, Thor, was texting me from San Francisco airport saying, hey, we should do a bar in an air traffic control tower. And I was like, whoa. That sounds like interesting and fun and like immersive, and we wanted to do something that was more that direction. But I had always been infatuated with, obsessed with old school, glamorous traveling, but in the 70s on jumbo jets. And if you had a first class ticket, or if you had a privileged ticket, you could go upstairs on a 747, and they had that little bubble part of the plane where there would be a lounge, and you could get a cocktail or you could get a meal, and first class was actually first class. And even coach felt a little more elevated than it does today. So I threw it back at him. It's like, why don't we create an experience from a bygone era that even if you are privileged enough to fly first class and business class, or you're privileged enough to have private jets, you don't have this experience, and I think it would be interesting for everybody. So we went all in on developing this idea of Carry On. We wanted the servers to look like stewardesses with go-go boots and a little bit more risque uniforms. We wanted the bartenders to look like pilots. We spent a ton of time on the attention to detail, and this ended up being the most complex and most frustrating at times build, because it took us 2 years to get done. Yeah. We came up with the idea, found the space, which happened to be right next door to Wren Wolf. Our landlords are very supportive of every wild idea we have, and we're like, hey, we have this chiropractor's office. Why don't you explore doing it here? And it happened to be the perfect dimensions for a fuselage. I'm like, okay, well, this is going to work. Then we got into design, and one of the first thoughts we had with Carry On was all of the airplane graveyards are in Phoenix. Let's just go to Yuma, or go to, I think it's south of Eloy, closer to Tucson. Let's go to the airplane graveyard. Let's pick apart a plane. Let's get all these cool parts. Let's put it together. And when we started going down that path, we realized that wasn't going to be feasible, and
scrapping it out of this boneyard piece by
piece.
Piece.
Just specific little parts to make it feel real.
Okay.
And but then when we got into the design with our designer Peter, we realized that it was not going to be a cohesive vision, and it wasn't going to save any money. That wasn't really the point anyway. The point was authenticity, not necessarily cost savings.
Okay.
But we're like, well, no, let's just build the whole thing on a CNC so that we can achieve the design intent. And let's build it in a warehouse offsite and then install it slowly. So we prototyped it out. Every single element that you look at in here is custom. It was built on a CNC, designed in CAD, everything individually. If you look around at all of the window inserts, we wanted, that was the thing that we wanted to get off of a real plane, but instead we did these poly forms that are completely custom. Yep, and then they house the lights in them, and they house the monitors, and it ended up being this like really intense process where we thought we were going to open in October of 23, and we ended up opening in November of 24. Like that's how long it took. And I mean, there was just like technical challenges. We had to use multiple different construction teams and design experts to get it done. And then when you add in the whole show control element to it, which we haven't got into, but all of this is synced up together so that the video goes like with the voiceover that goes with the music, and then there's like little lighting cues, and the plane, I don't want to give away too much if you haven't been on it, but you go through a scene where the lights flicker, and then there's like a whole second audio track because underneath every seat in the banquettes there's a subwoofer, so there's a bit of haptics to it. It feels like you're flying. We felt like that was a really authentic part of it. So you're going on a journey on Carry On, and labor of love. It took us 2 years to build, but well worth the wait.
Yeah, dang. And as with anything with building a restaurant, is like it's going to take way longer than. So actually, a year later than what you expected isn't too bad, right? Considering what it could be.
Yeah. Well, considering all the challenges we had, and we were very persistent. We kept pushing through. We had to support some of the people along the way to make sure that we could get the vision fulfilled to the level that we wanted to see it fulfilled to, and it's paying off. People are noticing. There's been 4 nominations and/or awards that are nationally recognized. We had our cocktail director, Jax Donahue, was acknowledged as a top mixologist by the James Beard Foundation. He was a semifinalist for his work on Carry On. Our interior designer won Best Bar Design in North America at World's Best. We flew up to Vancouver to accept that award. We were acknowledged by the Hospitality Design Award. We tied for Best Bar Design, a bar in Russia. We flew to Vegas to accept that award. And then we're nominated for Best New U.S. Cocktail Bar at Tales of the Cocktail, which is coming up this summer. We'll find out if we're progressing any further in that. But just the fact that, people are acknowledging all of the love and all of the the seriousness that went into a maybe not so serious concept, this immersive concept, but everything that we did in it, from the cocktails to the design to the space to the training of the staff, and there are a cast of characters that intentionally so, like you need personality to fulfill this thing, even to the voiceover artist that we got, and which I don't know if I told you, but we met comedian Adam Ray, and he is on fire trending right now because he has this character that he plays, Dr. Phil, and he brings out the biggest comedians in the world and does these like stand-up shows with them, completely improv. And then he went viral at Madison Square Garden. Shane Gillis dressed up like Donald Trump, and Adam dressed up like Joe Biden, and that went all over the place. So with the delay, in the year, we signed Adam up to do it, and then he exploded into this huge rock star in the comedy scene, and he's the guy that's doing all of the voiceover work when you experience it. So it's just like a lot of really fun things happened, and we wanted to create an immersive cocktail bar that wasn't so stuffy and that was fun. And maybe a departure from some of the other cocktail experiences we've had across the country that just feel like it's very serious, and we wanted to have serious cocktails that were approachable but also just a really fun environment. Yeah,
well, I mean, that's great. That's like it's like you get to play a little bit. It's like you get to be like an actor of like, that was one of the things I've always envious about actors. Not that they're famous or that they make all this money. It's like you get to pretend to be this person for a little bit. So coming into Carry On, you get to kind of pretend. I am a little disappointed there's no smoking, because I mean, if this is really from the 70s, we'd be smoking in this thing. But
I know we wanted to put the ashtrays in, but we didn't want to tempt people.
For sure, yeah. But no, it's a beautiful space, and I mean, so trophy room. I love trophy room, right? It's the just the design of it, and Peter's just incredible what he does and everything you guys do. Drinks are fantastic, but that story that goes along with it, like it is immersive. And brought my friends here for dinner the one night we saw you, and they're like, this place is really cool, and I'm like, well, wait till you hear this story. And then I told him, I think I probably added pieces in, I couldn't remember all of it. So I ad-libbed a little bit of it, but I'm like, it's reversal. The bears are the one hunting the hunters and taking all of their guns. They're like, that's badass. They love that. This is a whole new level, man. Like this is great, because when we came in here, so we came in to get set up, and you had the windows up, and I am kind of ashamed to say I haven't been here as a guest yet, so
it's hard to get a ticket.
It is hard to get a ticket. Yeah. I get those emails every week, and I'm like, so close. But we came in, and there was some noise on that we have to kind of adjust for the podcast for these microphones. But listening to it, it wasn't an air conditioning unit. It was like the plane was on. Yeah. And you look out the windows, and you could see the clouds, and you have even it's the amount of detail and work that you guys would have to put into this. I can't even imagine.
We wanted it to be hyper realistic, and we don't allow our team to come in when the flight is going. So it's every 2 hours we do a 90-minute flight. Okay. And so our guests line up on First Avenue or First Avenue Terminal. They come in on the jet bridge. We give them a vintage ticket with like the old school carbon paper ones. I found some old airplane tickets, and we wanted to replicate it in the carry-on style. So even that attention to detail, we hand write those tickets. They pick them up at Wren Wolf. They come around. Our guests boarding the plane, like boarding the fuselage, is a moment. And then once that door closes, we try, unless it is like an absolute emergency, to not open it for anybody. Yeah. If a guest is running really late, we have a very fun announcement that the pilot plays, because we don't want any, we're not actually on an airplane, but but we definitely want to poke fun at it. So Adam did this pre-recorded thing that calls out the late arriving guests. If guests have to leave, of course they can, but we try not to open that door at all, and we don't let our team in and out. But it's all about that, alternate reality for a little bit. Like, be immersed in the moment, have fun. And what we hear over and over again is like, it goes by really fast. Like, you come in and you're enjoying it and you want to hang, but like there is unlike other spots, like even Trophy Room included, that has the 90-minute window, like you get kind of lost in space and you're talking, and then you're told that, hey, your time's coming up, we're going to need the table for our next guest. And it's just it doesn't feel as good. But in Carry On, the pilot is announcing, hey, we're coming in, you got to get that last drink in. And our stewardesses are going to drop the check, and it just feels much more natural. It feels like there's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it feels like a complete experience. It's a really cool thing. And to be like honest, we didn't know if it was going to work. Like, when we took this gamble on this bet and designed this thing, like, could have come across really cheesy, and it could have been like all of the elements, from like the light comedy and the voiceover to this like really sophisticated design to, are the visuals going to be good enough? Are the seats rumbling going to be annoying or welcomed? Like, and thankfully I feel like everything along the way has worked and added to a great experience. But like, if I would be lying to you if I said that we knew this was going to work, when we were designing it. It's kind of this big passion project gamble that we took, and it ended up all working out beautifully.
Yeah. Was there a moment that you can think of, like, where you're like, oh shit, all right, we did this? Did you have any of those moments?
In the dress rehearsals, yeah. Okay. So when we did the dress rehearsals with the team, and they were practicing, and they put on the uniforms for the first time, and you hear the show, and the music is playing, you're like, okay, we're on to something. This is going to work. Some fine tuning, of course, but you could tell it was going to be really special. And I think you could even tell from when we released the renderings, which we had a massive surge of interest when we announced the concepts, a year early. But we had a massive surge of interest. So I think you could tell that it was going to be something special. But we were concerned, like, who's going to come to a cocktail bar that feels like an airplane on a Monday or a Tuesday night? But thankfully, the response has been so positive and so overwhelming that, like, it's been sold out every single show since we opened in November.
Yeah, dang, man.
Yeah, we've been very blessed, for sure.
That's awesome. So drinks, tell me about the drinks a little bit, because you brought us a little bit of, I quit drinking about a year ago, just around the time that you guys opened up, so I was pretty bummed about that. But but no, you guys have an incredible, you brought me the pomegranate martini, which an NA version of that. And like I said, I never thought that I would have a cocktail with cumin and buttermilk in it. Clarified buttermilk, right? Yeah. It's incredible. It was incredible. It was such a good drink. So, Jax.
Yeah. So we we gave Jax a lot of challenges, and Jax, bit of background on that relationship and how that started. He had left Barter and Shake and was consulting. So when we met Jax, we brought him on as a consultant to work on the carry-on menu, and the working relationship was so good. He has the same vision that we have. That's when we ended up offering him to take over the cocktail director for our company. So that the relationship started with Carry On and started more in this advisory role, but ended up becoming like full-on director role. But what we tasked him with in the beginning was to create a menu that was light and approachable on the surface, heavy 70s influence, but to be really geeky if you know the nuts and bolts of the cocktail world. So lots of clarification, lots of infusions. We have a 3-man prep team that works every single day to make all of the batch work and all of the behind the scenes stuff for Carry On, Trophy Room, and Wren Wolf. So it is a massive undertaking to. And
that's all they do is prep.
That's all they do is prep. Yeah, because every juice is fresh. Every infusion is done in house. We're not really buying a lot that's already done. We're manipulating all of those flavors, and the clarifications take a long time. Yeah. But the challenge was, we needed to design a cocktail menu that you could flat seat 30 people at the same time. So imagine being a bartender in a well and getting 30 drink orders all at the same time. Good point. Yeah. Like, how do we effectively, efficiently deliver a top quality cocktail that feels approachable and fun? So it was like a lot of checks that he had to mark on his list, and he did them all beautifully. We batched a lot of them so that we could get that quick production out. But some of the other ones, are shaken, are stirred. We had a huge emphasis on the non-alcoholic because that is such a trend right now. So there's 3 really quality non-alcoholic cocktails. The pomegranate martini that you had is a clarification where they use buttermilk as the clarifying agent. So you do get a little bit of that twinge, that sour note on the end, but they're deeply complex. It has chamomile, pomegranate cumin, Japanese rice wine, citrus in it, lime. So that's what makes it curdle in the process. But it's a fantastic cocktail. To go a little deeper on the menu, we want Carry On to be a concept that can evolve over time. So the first journey is San Francisco to Mexico City. And that's what the visuals look like, but also that is how half of the cocktail menu was developed. So taking inspiration from San Francisco, we chose San Francisco because Jax had spent some time there, and there's a number of top bars that we're friends with or influenced by that are in San Francisco. And then we chose Mexico City because same reason. I think the top bar in North America, Handshake, is there. There's a number of top 50 bars there. Jax knows a lot of them, has great relationships. We've met them, even before Jax came on at the Arizona Cocktail Weekend doing, we did a pop-up event with Handshake a couple years ago, and they're just really influential people, and we wanted to eventually over time, and we've done this already, we did it with Trick Dog in San Francisco over Cocktail Weekend, but we want to do pop-ups with the top bars from those destinations inside Carry On. So it can always evolve, and we can always do new things. But for the standard menu, they take inspiration for both. In San Francisco, you have the terroir drink, which that's what San Francisco is known for, their terroir. And in Mexico City, it's not. We thought it would be too obvious with Mexico City just to do like a bunch of agave-based, cocktails. So really, he was inspired by both the spirit of the cocktail culture, but also by cocktails that would be appreciated of this time with the modern techniques.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I see a White Russian, a blue Hawaiian,
which is clarified with oat milk. So if you're dairy-free, but that's really everybody wants that espresso martini, but a White Russian is way more appropriate to the time period, and why not clarify it with whatever it was going to make it white? So it's a really fun and sophisticated play on a drink from the era.
So it's a White Russian, but it doesn't look like the White Russian that the dude's drinking in the Big Lebowski. It's a clear one.
Exactly.
And you taste, you're like, that's a White Russian.
Clarified, but deeply complex, and you're not going to feel too heavy with all the cream.
Well, the Harvey Wallbanger too. Like that's a classic.
You never see that. You always see that bottle of that the only thing it goes in is a Harvey Wallbanger, and he wanted to take a modern expression to it, but it's not so sweet. Where the original Harvey Wallbanger is like very, very sweet. We have a tequila sunrise on here. The reason we did that is because if you are unfamiliar, it originated at the Arizona Biltmore in the 30s and 40s, like that.
Tequila sunrise.
Yep. And the original recipe was not what most people think. Okay. So the original recipe was club soda, creme de cassis, tequila, and just like the sunrise element was from the creme de cassis. In the 70s, it morphed in this orange juice grenadine hybrid of a drink. So ours takes inspiration from the original that was developed here, but is also appropriate for the era.
Yeah.
So a little bit of Arizona history in addition to the carry-on and nostalgic piece.
Yeah, I like that. And that was a really good point, because I didn't even think about that, right? Like most places you're coming in at different times, like, this table comes in now, all right, hey, we just sat this table, everybody's coming in at once. So you got to get ready. And you start with a welcome drink, right?
We do, yeah. So the welcome drink, tequila-based cocktail, a little bit of strawberry and bubbles, because if you're getting on first class, it's kind of a French 75 riff, but if you're going on a first class, you're getting a glass of bubbles. And we wanted that celebratory moment when everybody comes on. But we also didn't, because you're on a 90-minute timed experience, and there's a lot to take in. There's the visuals, there's the safety announcements, there's a pretty complex menu. We want to get something in our guests' hands right away, so that they can start their experience. And then with your ticket price, the welcome cocktails included. Some little, knick-knackies if you're a memento type of person are included. Yeah. But then we also do peanuts that are inspired by Mexico City. Okay. There's a Roja and a Verde that Chef Ivan put together for this menu, but everybody gets those. We're not afraid of peanut allergies at Carry On Airlines. And there's definitely disclaimers all over the place that we serve peanuts in here. Yeah. And then to finish, everybody gets a little sweet treat with their check. It's a shortbread cookie that our pastry chef Lucia makes, dipped in Ghirardelli chocolate, because San Francisco original Ghirardelli's from. So we wanted to have a touch from San Francisco and from Mexico City in that. Then also with the food, there is an option to do Captain's Club. So Captain's Club is $100 per person, but it includes your welcome drink plus 3 drink tickets. So you can choose 3 more cocktails throughout your experience, and you get a 4-course light tasting menu. So if you want to experience first class, the first course is a king crab louis, all inspired by the era. Yeah. Then we do a lobster ball arancini, but it's a lobster risotto base on the inside, and then A5 Wagyu over the top. There's a dessert course, there's a surf and turf course. So it's just, it's a phenomenal experience if you just want to have like a little bit of a light bite, limited to 10 seats. Per flight in the dining hours, so like 5:30 and 7:30 during the week.
Gotcha. Okay. So people could be in here in different groups, like our table could be getting that tasting menu and they could not be.
Yeah, so the 3 tables will have it, and 4 tables will have it, and 7 will not. 7 will have the peanuts and the shortbread cookies, and then the Captain's Club get that, and plus the food and their drinks are included. And it's actually, the $100 per person is a great value, because if you got 4 drinks or a ticket and 3 drinks and a 4-course menu of that quality, it would cost a lot more than $100. So, we're not trying to gouge with this concept. This concept is supposed to be fun, approachable. We want you to come back, even though it's like once you've experienced it, we want you to fall in love with it and to show your friends and to bring back other people. And then every year it's going to change. So we're going to change the destinations. We do have a holiday version of Carry On that we're going to announce very soon. So the months of November and December, there will be a holiday edition. And then in January, we're going to launch the new menu.
Nice. All right. I'm going to have to bring my wife for that one. She loves Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, she celebrates Christmas like 11 months out of the year. So,
we're flying to the North Pole.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
There's going to be Phoenix to the North Pole. There's going to be fun little Easter eggs, things that happen throughout. The cocktails will be derivative, and we'll throw out a couple good non-alcoholic, holiday cocktails.
Nice, man. I love it. I love it. So backtrack a little bit. So this was built off-site? Like, was this built as pretty much one piece? Because, I mean, as you're coming through, so you come off of this, what is this?
First Avenue.
First Avenue. As you're coming off of First Avenue, like it's an actual, like it looks like the door to a plane that's opening up, and you can see the side of this. So it's not like it's just, like you can even see it on the outside. It looks like a fuselage. So how was this brought into the space?
So we built it one rib at a time from the back to the front, and then they're hoisted up on with little like motorized pulley systems, and then put into place. But the all of construction had to stop for a period. This was one of the major delays. Wonderful city inspectors decided that even though we had a stamped set of permits, that we needed a catwalk above the fuselage. So we had to stop construction, we had to get a structural engineer, we had to get plans approved, we had to build the thing, we had to install a catwalk. So now there's a catwalk above it that you can walk all the way down, where before we were gonna have little access panels, so that slowed everything down a little bit, but that ended up being kind of a nice amenity to have if we have to do any technical work or fix anything or mess with the the HVAC system. But yeah, it was a very complex and slow build that I wouldn't recommend taking on if you enjoy your sanity.
Yeah. So then pieced it together. I mean, I'm just everywhere I look is something different.
Well, then you mentioned smoking earlier, so we do have the no smoking sign up there, but then next to it is a martini sign. So we didn't talk about this yet, but midway through the flight, after you go through one of the scenes, captain comes on and he announces that it's martini time, and the martini times sign illuminates in green, and the stewardesses come down the aisle with their old school carts with the ice bins on the top, and they'll shake martinis table side. So you could do you could do a Manhattan martini with gin or vodka, or you could do a porn star martini, and that's definitely one of the highlights for everybody that comes on Carry On.
Yeah, nice, man. Well, I got a few more questions for you, but let's take a quick break.
A real quick reminder, head over to atasteofaz.com and subscribe to our email newsletter. Also, subscribe to A Taste of AZ magazine and get it shipped right to your door. Now let's get back into today's episode.
Why the penguin? Like, what's the
So we have 3 logo marks. So I don't know if maybe you could see in the reflection, but that is, we have an architectural logo mark that is supposed to be inspired by like the TWA or like the LAX, like that iconic architecture. But if you look closely at it, it's actually a penguin's head coming down against its body. Double meaning there.
Okay.
And then we have the airline logo, which is on the monitors right now, which is a penguin flying. And then on the menus for the cocktail portion, we have Mr. Penguin in a bow tie.
Okay.
And the reason we went heavy penguin is because we felt it was only appropriate to have a flightless bird be the mascot of a plane that can't fly. So
that's great.
So, deep. But we wanted the 3 because we wanted a cohesive experience. Like, you're going to have different branding for all of them. And then in the 60s and 70s, the Playboy Club was a really popular attraction or concept that had locations all across the country. And we took some inspiration from that as well. When you look at the details, we have a stir stick that has Mr. Penguin on the top of it, just reminiscent of the old Playboy bunny on top of the stir sticks in the Playboy Club. So we wanted those details to make it feel of the era. And then we wanted to have a mascot and a logo that was tied in with the whole theme.
Dude, the amount of detail that, I mean, just this place alone, because obviously this episode is about Carry On, but when I look at all of your concepts, 7 in the Valley, you said, right?
Yeah, well, we're gonna have 12. Yeah, 7 now.
Yeah, jeez, like it's and you can keep going deeper and deeper with these. You could have been like, oh yeah, that was just a cool logo. We decided to go with the penguin, but the depth of that, and then you multiply that times all of the concepts that you have. Like, how do you keep your sanity?
It has to be a lot. But what we're doing now is it's a heavy lift in the beginning for a new concept, and then we find people that would like to join pretty decent concepts and want to have a voice, and you can with our company because we're smaller. And if you want an impact, like the way that we're developing that next generation of cocktail creators is when they want to get something on the menu, we do a round table, they pitch Jack's. Jax on some of these menus will say, yes, no, let's try this, let's tweak this. That's how he's able to mentor, coach, and develop them. And then they can have cocktails that make it on the menu. So we'll do that in Wren Wolf and Trophy Room. Certain concepts like Carry On will always be Jax or whoever the cocktail lead is. You know, they'll have a defined person, but it enables us to give those opportunities. And then we've always lived of the mindset that a great idea can come from anywhere. So we have like 300 plus people working for us now. We have 40 salaried managers. We have, lots of people on the corporate level. So, we're a small company, but we're growing rapidly. And when you have a bunch of really sharp, really intelligent, really motivated people, you typically don't have a lack of fun ideas.
Sure. Yeah. And it's those people that kind of help to be able to execute those things, right?
Yeah.
I feel like as you're smaller, it's like, okay, we have this great idea. All right, the people who have the idea are also going to be the ones executing it, right? And that can be exhausting at times.
Yeah.
But you start to build that team, and dude, that impresses me. You said 300 plus employees.
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to quiz myself here. So we've got Trophy Room, Wren Wolf, Carry On, Filthy Animal, Chico Malo, the Filthy Animal Speakeasy.
That's called Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Drop Dead Gorgeous, and I know I'm missing. So
we have a donut shop in the warehouse district called Cream Puff Donuts and Coffee.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you know that one? Luke knew, yeah. Where's that at?
It's on First and Buchanan, so just a couple streets south of Footprint Center.
Okay.
And we had this opportunity to take over a struggling coffee shop, and it was too good to pass up. I travel with my family a lot. I have family that lives in Nashville, and we always look for donuts. And, it's just kind of been our thing. We go to Bosa all the time and Rainbow and like all of the staples of Phoenix. But I was always looking for something that was a bit more craft.
Okay.
And in our travels, we found that layered donuts can be done really well and at scale. And I came back home and I was looking for somebody doing it really well here, and I couldn't find it. Like, I was driving 40 minutes looking for donuts on Sundays on these missions, like, hey, we're gonna find some really good ones. And there are some amazing donut shops in Phoenix that are doing an excellent job, but we were looking for something very specific and I couldn't find it. So Cream Puff is layered donuts, croissant base, that are injected or filled with house-made fillings on all of them. So nothing is that like highly processed bucket of icing that you get at most places. We're making everything in-house. Yeah. So the shelf life isn't as long. We can make them and put them out for a couple hours, but then we have to take them down and put up a fresh crop if they don't sell. But that's the labor of love and the quality that we're going for.
Sure.
So I like to refer to them as our special occasion donuts. These aren't the donuts that you should have, every week or every day, but they're definitely the ones that you should get on your birthday. They're the ones that you should be giving a loved one. Or if you just have, if you want to celebrate life's little moments. But that's Cream Puff. Jax did the coffee. Our pastry chef, Lucia, did all of the pastries with Ivan, and they're just, phenomenal.
Yeah. That's awesome, and congrats to Ivan and you guys. You guys won some Foodist Awards?
We did, we won 2. So we won for the Beef Wellington at Wren Wolf. Best dish. I forget what their terminology is, but that's essentially what the prize was.
Most badass dish in the state, I think is
something
what they call
like that. Yeah. And then Ivan won Top Chef, so I could not be more happy and proud. And that's a spotlight that he's deserved for a really long time. And I'm just like so happy for him that he's finally getting noticed and viewed for the chef that he is. Yeah.
Yeah, in food, I love Foodist. I just 2 years in a row now, I've gone to it, and it's just such a cool experience because I would say it's rare. It's not even rare. It's like it doesn't happen when you get all of those industry people in the same, in the same room. I remember who I was talking to the other day, but they were like, "Yeah, it was." I think it was James from Bad Jimmy's. He was like, "Yeah, dude, it was open bar." I'm like, that's insane to have all these people from the industry come and have it be open bar, but it's such a fun time. Everybody can let loose. But we saw Ivan there, and I was like, "Hey, dude, good luck." And this is before everything started, and you could tell like he's like he's got places that are opening, and so you can disconnect a little bit, but you guys are doing so much that it's hard to completely step away from that, right? So I was happy to see him there, and then I was happy to see him win and see you guys win. So he's just such a cool dude, man. He was
really nervous.
He was, yeah,
he was not himself that night. He was, and I felt like. When we won, so the first award of the night was that Beef Wellington Award. And when we won, I was like, oh no, they're not going to give the same group 2 awards. So I hope that's not it,
Yeah.
And then we had to wait the entire show because the very last award was Top Chef. And when he won, I mean, I was the first one on my feet screaming for him. I was so happy. But there's some really great names that have won it in the past couple of years. I think Corey Opal just won recently. I don't know if it's last year or the last year before, but yeah. So, I mean, like he's, it's a real award that he should be proud of and putting him up with everybody else.
Yeah, dude, he's a badass. He does. I mean, it's incredible. So then what are the next 5, right? So you're and that's just up until next year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure you've got 20 for
we got
the
some
next
things in the works.
Anything you can share for the 5 that are coming up?
Yeah. So we're doing at Arizona Center. We took the old Hooters.
Okay.
So it's at 3rd and Van Buren, across from the Sheraton. Hooters was small. Hooters was only like 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
So we took the 2 adjacent spaces and then also expanded to enclose our patio. So we're up to 10,000 square feet under one roof, and we're doing 3 concepts there.
Wow.
The bread and butter, the main concept is called Cleaverman. It's a high-end steakhouse inspired by the meat institutions of Chicago and New York. It's supposed to be that timeless steakhouse because downtown, Wren Wolf is fulfilling that need for a steakhouse right now, but Wren Wolf is really more modern supper club with composed entrees. You get your steak, it comes with potatoes and carrots. It's not necessarily a steakhouse. And we wanted to open the first true steakhouse in downtown Phoenix that in a long time. There used to be Kincaid's, and I'm sure there was more prior to that, but this has been my ambition since I left my corporate job, when I was at Fox Restaurant Concepts as a manager there. My whole goal was to leave and open a steakhouse in downtown Phoenix. So I did my first deck, my first pitch. I made my first move on this in 2016. So, we're going to open in 2025. Took 9 years. I've been going after this specific space, like the Hooters, for over 5 years. There's been multiple changes in ownership, and there was other people that were thinking about buying it. So we had the deal, we didn't, we had it, we didn't. So this has been labor of love. Everything that I've been working toward in my career was to open this steakhouse. So it's called Cleaverman. The design is awesome. It's definitely going to feel big city, special, and timeless.
Okay.
Then in the back, there's a valet at Arizona Center now. So there's going to be a backdoor entrance into a martini bar called Filthy, where we're going to have a piano player 7 days a week, and then we'll do maybe a duet or like a 3-piece on the weekends. But little lounge that has really elevated martinis, more on pace with big city martini bars right now that have that savory spin to them.
Okay.
Not like a martini bar from like the 90s or early 2000s where it's Cosmos and sweet stuff, chocolate martinis.
Yeah.
Not that at all.
Yeah.
Then inside of it is going to be the most ambitious dining concept in downtown Phoenix. It's called Uppercut, and it's a steak omakase that's hidden behind like the wine cellar. So you enter through the wine cellar, and then there's going to be a 12 to 16 seat chef's counter where we dropped Korean grills into the top, and they're going to be doing a 12-course beef tasting. So it's going to start with 2 raw courses into a bone broth cleansing course, and then 8 more courses of beef. So you get to see different expressions of it. You might get corn-fed from Iowa, then grass-fed, grass-finished from Argentina. Then we have our in-house dry aging program. You'll get some dry age versus wet age versus, cooked over bincho tan charcoal versus, cooked on a hot stone versus cooked in that Korean grill. So it's going to be a showcase of beef. We're anticipating a flat seating, so all 12 to 16 will seat together. We're only going to do 1 a night during the weeknights, 2 on the weekends, so very exclusive concept.
Yeah.
But it'll be Cleaverman, Filthy, and Uppercut opening up at Arizona Center this September.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like 4 months from now.
It is going. Yeah.
It's going quick.
Yeah, it is coming.
I love that concept with the beef, right? Because you're always, at least for me, I'm always curious about the different methods and the different, the different types of beef and the different levels and all that stuff. So to be able to because you always, it's whether you're comparing the best burger or the best milkshake, whatever you're comparing, it's hard to compare when you had one 3 months ago, one today, and the other one, oh, that was the best steak I ever had 8 years ago, right? So so to be able to try those things like right back to that's awesome, man. I like that.
And it's different cuts, It's hopefully everything we send out is delicious, but it's a little bit educational. And then if you're not positive what you like, if you've always been a filet person, but you've never gone into the fatty meat side and you try, ribeye and with some really nice marbling or something, like your mind might be open to trying something else in the future. Throughout this process, somebody on our team didn't know they liked dry age until we went and toured a dry age facility, and then you kind of got that meat funk, and then we went to dinner afterward and ended up ordering some, and now that person's a big fan. I'm not gonna say who it is, but they didn't they didn't know that they like dry age, and now they do. So it's fun for us to explore this, and the levels of funk that you get depending on how long you dry age something. But that's a really fun concept. The Uppercut will debut a month after Cleaverman opens. So it'll be Cleaverman and Filthy on day one, and then we want to save and have its own special moment. Plus, monumental undertaking to open the most ambitious steakhouse and the most ambitious concept on the same day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if anybody can do it, it's you guys.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we thought it'd be cool to have a even higher end hidden steakhouse concept inside the most high-end steakhouse in Phoenix.
Oh, dude, that's it's like those Russian dolls, right?
Yeah.
It's like, one more level.
We got something else, Yeah.
All right, so if I'm doing my math correctly, that was only 3.
Yeah.
So there's 2 more. You keeping those under wraps? Or?
I know I can tell you.
Okay, yeah.
It's so this one's been the longest lead. This one we actually signed before Filthy, before Cleaverman, and it's a ground-up build. With a developer out of Atlanta at Hayden Ferry Lakeside. So it's Mill and Rio Salado.
Okay.
There was a pad of dirt that we had the privilege of designing with them the entire building. So Peter and team and gave them all of our inspiration, and it was a back and forth, multiple architects on the job, and they just actually delivered the space to us. So we start our TIs very soon. Okay. But it is a wood fire Italian concept called Roman God of Fire, and a Vatican-themed speakeasy called Forgive Me, Father inside of it. So that's as much as I'm able to say right now, but it's going to be game-changing again for Mill Avenue and for Tempe. And when we decided we were going to do one, we're like, well, if we're going to do one, we might as well do 2. If we're going to build an area, and then hopefully more will follow. Because I see Tempe and Mill Avenue as being deserving of a true mixed, entertainment district with great restaurants, great bars, of course the college bars. You need that. That's the fabric of Tempe and the fabric of downtown Tempe. Yeah. But with the hotels and the businesses and all of the Class A office that's leased, you got GoDaddy there, Amazon, State Farm, Carvana, just to name a few, with their big signs, and then all of the others that you wouldn't even know were there. Plus, you have 5,000 faculty members at ASU. You have 1,000+ hotel rooms within walking distance to both of our locations. So we see Tempe as that next frontier. It just hasn't taken, nobody has taken it seriously since before the pandemic. And it was just viewed as this secondary kids market, and it doesn't need to be that. The P.F. Chang's that we took over for Filthy Animal was the second or third P.F. Chang's ever on their way to being $1 billion company. So, what we're trying to do, and that Monty's La Casa Vieja was there forever. So what we're hearing now, and every restaurateur buddy and friend of ours is hitting us up to see how we're performing, because I think that Tempe could be that next frontier.
Yeah. Well, it's changed, right? I took my dad there, I don't know, this was like a month ago, and he hadn't been to Tempe. He's from, lives in Ohio, hasn't been here to Tempe in 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even say anything to him. We drove, and he's like, this looks different. All the buildings along the lake, along Tempe Town Lake, and then all those hotels, and so it's changing. But I'm really liking what I'm seeing from it. And for you guys to have that, I mean, that's prime. That's a prime space where Drop Dead Gorgeous is. Yeah. That is, I mean, it's like kind of, it's like the gates to go, to get into the great areas of. Yeah, man, I'm stoked for you guys. Yeah. So.
We wanted to bookend it, and we wanted, there's great reasons to be on both sides of Mill. In Rio Salado, you have all of the park activations. You have Innings Fest, you have Oktoberfest. There's just so many things. I think there's 100+ events that go on at the park throughout the year.
Wow, yeah.
You have all of the street events on Mill, and it just eventually, the Mill itself is going to be redeveloped into something fun and mixed use. There's a lot more coming to Tempe, and it's all vertical. So with more density, there's a lot more opportunity. And for us, it's centrally located. You're close to Ahwatukee, you're close to Chandler, you're closer to Gilbert than Scottsdale.
Yeah.
You're close to Scottsdale, you're close to Arcadia and PV. So what we're seeing, even though we've only been open a couple months at Filthy Animal, is that it's not just Tempe that's supporting it, it's people that are driving 15 minutes or so to check out something new and interesting.
Yeah.
And we can do new and interesting things in Tempe, I think, a little easier than maybe trying to do that in other parts of the valley.
Yeah, well, I would say that it's working with a different city too. It's probably a completely different experience than you've mostly worked with Phoenix up to this point, the city of Phoenix, right?
Phoenix is a big city.
Yeah.
We're very, very small fish in this pond, of the business community, bringing in the semiconductors and plant and all of this really big business that's going on. But in Tempe, they also have big business. They do have people relocating, corporate headquarters, that sort of thing. But I have a great relationship with the mayor, and the mayor is an advocate for everything that's happening on Mill Avenue, and he's very he's involved in trying to push Tempe into a new direction, and it's a direction that we were very supportive of and wanted to be a part of.
Yeah, I dig.
But you don't get that in Phoenix. Yes, they support us, but it's just it's a much bigger city.
For sure.
Yeah.
You can get a little bit more kind of that personal touch. I mean, you're rubbing elbows with the mayor and
it's pluses and minuses, but to both. But
sure. Yeah. Well, and before we wrap up, are you guys open in Vegas too? You have some places open in Vegas?
So we haven't announced it completely yet, but we are.
Oh, did I let the cat? Okay.
No, not yet. But we will be doing a carry-on in Vegas.
Oh,
so that's what we're doing there. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And we haven't announced the location yet, or the date, or the timeline, or any of those details because they're still working. But we're taking carry-on to Vegas.
Okay. I was like, oh shit, was that supposed to be a private conversation?
All good. Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, dude, keep up the good work. Thanks for having us in. I am setting my email on notification so that I know when those holiday hours come in for you. So
it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be a hot ticket, but we can't wait to have you aboard.
Awesome, man. Well,
cool.
Thanks, Teddy.
Thank you.
Dude, always
Thank
good
you.
having you on.
Yeah. Cheers.